Hello, my friends, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Blooming Podcast. I'm Anabell Ingleton. I'm your host, and we are ready to get into it with a really fun, I think for me, a really special episode. Let's start that over. Yeah, let's start over. Hey, my friends, welcome back to the Blooming Podcast. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm Anabell Ingleton. I'm your host. I'm a coach, a believer, a single mom, all the great things. And this week, I'm going to talk with you about this concept that I recently shared on social media, and I share with my clients. It's concepts that I've created myself for my coaching clients to help them master their feminine energy and undo unhealthy masculine patterns that are basically getting in their way to find love, love themselves, love others, be great moms, make good income, have a great career. And the concept is the scared masculine girl versus the confident feminine woman. And the reason I came up with this concept is because I needed to explain to my clients the difference between living in these societal patterns and these behaviors that are that are basically all subconsciously driven, that are getting you results that you do not want. And they're things that typically go unnoticed. And I shared this recently on social media. It was something that I was really reluctant to share, believe it or not, because I think as a coach, when you share intellectual property, when you share your own frameworks and concepts, it can be scary sometimes because it's like, we don't know how people are going to receive it. And I know that with the concepts that I'm sharing, it almost feels a little bit like accusatory. Like I'm telling women, like, this is what you are. You're a scared masculine girl. And I, as a reformed people pleaser, as I think a lot of women are, I was like really nervous to share it because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Like I literally didn't want to offend anybody or make anybody feel bad about the way they've been living their life or just how they've been, subconsciously doing things, because I was there before and I know how frustrating it was. But I wanted to put a face to a name and a name to like you so that you can understand yourself a little bit better. Well, I shared it and I got so many questions that I'm like, I know I share this with my clients, but I needed to share it with y'all so you guys can really understand it and understand why it happens, what it looks like, what results it's getting you or negative results it's getting you, and then how to stop it. So this is the episode that I've been getting, oh my God, I think hundreds, maybe even thousands of questions about in my Instagram. It was crazy. Like I've gotten so many questions. So I hope this is going to make you understand yourself a lot better. Take this with a lot of curiosity and compassion. Okay. When you're listening to this episode, try to just look at it from a very curious perspective. Don't judge yourself. Don't get mad at yourself. Just listen and just look at it like, what concepts or which of these behaviors apply to me, and why are they happening? Interesting. How do I undo it? Look at it just with as much compassion as possible, because this episode isn't to like hurt your feelings or judge yourself. It's about learning, understanding, and then changing if you deem it necessary. And hopefully after this episode, you will. So let's get right into it. I have my phone because I took some notes and I wanted to explain first what the confident feminine woman is, and then I'll explain what the difference is between the scared masculine girl. So if you listened to last week's episode, I talked about my experience as a woman that essentially realized I had all these masculine patterns and how it was messing things up for me. My career, my income, my relationships, my marriage, it has ruined so many things in my life. And I was able to map everything together, understanding that like I had this like really deep attachment and desire to be loved, but I was seeking it in men and in success and in money and all these things, and I wasn't going to God for it. Well, the confident feminine woman, to start with, I want to explain what she looks like, what is the ideal, and then what happens when that doesn't happen, aka the scared masculine girl, and what ends up happening as a result of being a scared masculine girl. So as a woman, you are, if you remember last week's episode, I explained that God made women, he designed you very specifically and in a certain way because you have certain functions and then you have a certain purpose in this world. Well, I explained that women are emotional feelers and men are logical thinkers. So if a woman is an emotional feeler, he made us be able to feel our emotions and be more in tune with our emotions, because it helps you intuit other people's feelings. It helps you understand yours, and it helps you be more compassionate, empathetic, take care of your baby, know when your baby's hungry, know when you need something. But so that's the first part, is that you're an emotional feeler. God said in Genesis 1:23, I should have had my Bible. I told myself I was going to get my Bible and I totally forgot, but it's okay. I have my Bible app here on the phone. So I believe that God made women with a purpose and specific power and really amazing potential. Your purpose is to love and be loved by God. I believe that every man and woman is we're supposed to be connected to our source. So if you're like a fruit, you're supposed to be, when you're attached to your tree, you're really full and ripe, and you grow to be mature, you get picked, and then you're eaten, right? Well, us too, we're supposed to be connected to our source, which is God. And when we're not, things get a little messy, okay? So a woman, your purpose is to love and worship God first and receive his love. So we are receivers and then we're givers of love. So first and foremost, you are love, you are to be loved, you are to receive love, and you're to give love. Men, they're very similar, but because they're logical thinkers, they have different purposes. Okay, so our purpose is first and foremost, to be loved and give love. And our emotions, that's the way God designed you. He made you more in touch with your emotion. You know how people say women are emotional. Duh, we're supposed to be. That's like literally our superpower. And what I notice is a lot of my clients, they get to a place where they start suppressing their emotions or not feeling their emotions or denying their emotions, ignoring their emotions. You're literally going against your design. Your emotions are the most powerful part of you. Not to say that you don't use your logic. You want to use your logic. Obviously, we have emotional intelligence, which is like intelligence about your emotions, using logic to understand it. But your emotions are literally, I believe, is women's superpower. And when you suppress them and you go against your design, you end up getting in trouble. So if number one, your purpose is to love and be loved. Secondly, your power is your ability to be an emotional feeler. And your potential is limitless. It's literally your potential to be whatever you want, because God made you a creator. He said you are to dominate. He said you are to multiply. He said you are to be fruitful. He said you're to cultivate over the resources of the world, to Adam and to you. It's not just for men, it's for women too. We just do it differently. And we have different priorities sometimes because we have children, we get married, we have husbands and things like that. But first and foremost, you are a dominator, you are a creator, you are made in the image of God. And so you're just like God, you have his powers. And if you take advantage of it and use them, and you use them correctly to your advantage, you can really, really maximize and use yourself here on earth for all your capabilities, okay? So he uses this term, ezer kenendo. It's a Hebrew term in the Bible, in Genesis 1. And he said, I think, or maybe it's Genesis 3. He says, woman is a helper, an essential helper to Adam. And so what that means is we're also made to help our husbands, our partners. And so a lot of us are single and we have this desire. And I believe that this is the reason why we have a desire for men, to be loved and love a man, is because we are literally created to help man. He says man is not supposed to be alone. He's not. And this is humans, man and women, he's not just talking about Adam. Okay. So men and women, we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to be in connection. We work better together. And so if we're meant to be together and we work really well together because we complement each other, I believe that this desire to help and be with a man, this is sometimes the thing that gets us in trouble, because we will seek that out first instead of first getting the love from God and then seeking out our partner. And this is what I talked about last week's episode. If you didn't listen to it, you should definitely go back and hear it, because I think you'll understand me a little bit better, and then you'll understand these concepts a little bit better. If not, it's okay. So, what I also believe very, very deeply to my core is that everybody in this world is a leader. Everybody is meant to lead in your own area of function. Every woman is, whether you believe it or not, you're not just a follower. We're not sheep. We're not just like, I know in the Bible it says like God is our shepherd. We're not sheep. Sheep are actually kind of really dumb animals, I promise you. And they don't really know how to go their own way. They just follow whoever's there. So we're not followers. We're followers of God. We're lovers and worshipers of God, but you are a leader, especially as a woman, especially if you're a mother. You are a leader in your own unique area of your own function, that things that you do that you're designed uniquely to be. All right. So if you're a leader, leaders are very different than what maybe somebody would look at as a follower. Why? How are they different? So leaders aren't somebody that's in a position of power. It's not because you have a title. It's not because you have a lot of money. It's not because you come from a distinguished family. It's not because you're just special. Everybody is a leader, but the way that you lead and the reason you're able to lead is, I believe it's because you are so in your purpose. And by purpose, I really want to make that clear to kind of explain that it's not that you just have one reason to be here and that's your only purpose and you're supposed to be an entrepreneur or a mom or whatever. Any role that you have in life, when you do it purposefully and you do it on purpose, you bring purpose to it. Okay. So when you're a woman, a leader, or a man, but I'm talking to women. So when you're a woman who's a leader and you're doing things from a place of love because you're so sourced in God's love first, you are really influential. You're really, you inspire other people because everything that you touch, you make it better. Okay. And when you make other people better because you're living out things, you're really resourced, you're really happy, people get really inspired by you. And when people are inspired by you, they will follow you. They will want to be around you. When you make people better, you are a leader, not because you tell them to follow you, but because they desire to be around you and then they become followers. Think of like Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or something, right? When you have followers, it's because you're showing up in a certain way and people want to see what you're doing because they're either inspired by you, by how you're doing it. They want to do what you do or just the things that you share. Think about the people that you follow. It's because there's some sort of inspiration there. Yeah. And so I believe all women are leaders in their own areas of function. What I mean by areas of function is you have different roles in your life. Many of you are a mother, you're a career woman, you're a wife, you're a girlfriend, you're a daughter, you are friend, whatever title you have, sister, and whatever area of life that you're in, you do things very intentionally. A confident feminine woman does things very intentionally because she's so fulfilled and feels so peaceful and sourced by love. She feels, when I say sourced, I want you to think of is just like when I'm connected to my source, to the vine, I'm alive and I have all the energy that like my tree has. Yeah, like you're a branch. Or a fruit. And when you're connected to your source, which would be God, then you are, whatever you're touching, you're bringing passion, you're bringing inspiration, and people are following you because they want to be around you. So I believe that a woman that is healthy, feminine, sourced by God, connected to love, and then loving others and serving from a place of love, serving from a place of abundance, from fulfillment, you influence other people and make everything better that you touch. Okay. So this is what I would call a female leader. All right. You're somebody who is, I tell my clients that every woman and every person in this world, the goal is to be a single person. So when you're single, you are unique, you're separate, and you're whole. Unique meaning that you have your own idiosyncrasies, the way you speak, the way you look, the way you talk, the way you dress, the things you do, your talents, your skills. Everything about you is very unique. You love everything about yourself, weaknesses, strengths, everything, and you don't try to be something else, right? You're just who you are. The second one is separate. So when I mean by being separate is you're not connected to mom, you're not connected to your husband all the time. You're independently yourself. You have connections with people, but you're always separate from other people. You're not like attached, right? You're yourself. And then the last one is you're whole. So when I say that you're whole, wholeness means to be holy, to be complete. When you're complete, it basically means that you understand yourself in a very holistic way. You understand how you think, you understand your emotions, your brain tells your body what to do and your body does it. You have emotions and you process them well. You do what you say you're going to do. You act and feel the way that your intentions are. You have a goal, and whenever you have goals, your actions match your goals. It's a very aligned way of thinking. When you're present with someone, you're also very focused on them. You're not bringing stuff from your past into your present. You're not bringing up old experiences or old habits or blaming somebody in your present for something that somebody did to you in your past. It's a very holistic and organized, and what Dr. Siegel calls coherent. So everything's in order, and there's just alignment in every way. You do what you say you're going to do. You speak the way you feel. You think the way that you want your vision. Like everything's just really aligned, and that's to be whole and complete. Okay. So when you're a single person, a single woman, and you're unique, you love yourself, you're not connected and attached to other people, only God, right? He's your only source. You're independent. You feel really, really great. You feel fulfilled and happy and loved, and you're not insecure. You're just living out your vision. You know why you're here. You know that you're an emotional feeler. You don't suppress your emotions. You don't bemoan them. You're just, I'm a woman. This is how I was designed. I want to have children. I have a career, or I don't have a career. I have a husband. And it's just like, you're just very focused on you and not dependent on other things. Yeah. And this is what I would call a woman who is in her feminine, and she's very confident and she's sourced correctly by God. The other thing about a confident feminine woman is that she allows people to be themselves. She doesn't control anybody. She's very patient. She accepts people as they are. If she notices people's behavior and based on how they are, she decides whether she wants them in her life or not. She doesn't try to manipulate or change anybody. She just says, that's who you are. I'm going to allow that because you have a purpose. And if I mess with you, then I'm kind of like messing with God, right? And so she lets people be as they are, and she doesn't try to control, micromanage, anything like that. She's just very, very allowing, because she's just like, I'm here to be me and everyone's here to be them. And if I change them, I'm kind of messing with God's creation. Why would I do that? Right? So because God is her source too, men aren't the priority. She has her own life. She's very happy. She has relationships with friends and her own career maybe, and does things for herself. And she's just focused on her own life. And because of that, she's not desperately always looking for a man. If a man comes along, she's fine. This isn't her identity. Her identity isn't with man, but she knows that she does notice that she has a desire for a man, but it's not like the ultimate thing that she needs. Okay. All right. I'm just looking at my notes real quick. All right. So, all right. So let's get into, I want to explain what the scared masculine girl is. How does she act? How does she differ from the confident feminine woman? So the difference between the confident feminine woman is that if you notice, her foundation and her security is in God. Like, she knows her value. She knows who she is. She's a creator. She knows she's a dominator. She knows she's here to be productive and be a producer. That's what produce means. It means to be productive and when he says like be fruitful, that's being fruitful means to actually produce something. You're not just lazy and not doing things. So she's a creator. She's just like God. She was made in the image of him. She has his character. So whatever God is, she knows she is. So she stays in the word, and she gets all of her identity from God, not from anybody else. She's not of the world. She's not of her body. She's not of other people. She's definitely not of the enemy, right? If the enemy's she knows that the enemy's out there and he can deceive her, but she's not about it. She knows what to look for and who, how the enemy speaks and tries to deceive her. And so she's very, very foundationally focused and founded on God. So this part about the confident feminine woman is really, really important because her identity and her worth and her value is in what God says about her. She doesn't, if someone says something about her, she's like, that's your opinion, but I know who I am, and I'm worthy, and I'm able, and I'm a creator, and I'm just like God. So it's a very confident place, not from a place of elitism or holier than thou. She's just like, I'm God's daughter. Like, I'm the daughter of a king. I'm from the kingdom. I'm here on earth, and this is like my bodysuit, but I'm not of this world. I'm from the kingdom. Okay. So it's a very, very different perspective, but it's from a very loving place. It's always sourced by love. Okay. Let's talk about the scared masculine girl. How does the scared masculine girl even happen? Like, why is she a girl? Why is she masculine? And why is she scared? So the difference between, the scared masculine girl and the confident feminine woman is more than anything is that she's not rooted in love and in God. The reason this typically happens is because of the world, the enemy, and her flesh, her body. So whatever she was subjected to as a child, her environment is changed who she was. She wasn't sourced by God in the way that she should have been. And so the enemy is more easily in her spirit, and he's able to he's just can infiltrate more, and she believes it. Okay. A lot of the scared masculine girl energy happens typically because we weren't loved and given the things that we needed as children in our childhood. And so we end up believing all the lies and things that the world taught us, that maybe our childhood taught us, that a parent that wasn't present, loving, and kind, and as they should have been. I don't think all parents are intentionally bad to their kids, but a lot of this has to do with our pasts. And then it has to do with societal norms, what we end up growing up to believe that we need to be. Okay. So I believe for the scared masculine girl and for the confident feminine woman, the things that are like our three opposers in life are the enemy, the world, and our past, our body. So our body is in our past. If you guys have read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, your past is always going to be something that you have to protect yourself from and recognize that it's not here. It's something that's already done. And we can't let our past habits and beliefs and experiences get in the way of today. So these are things that you always have to be aware of. And the scared masculine girl, because she doesn't really have that foundational love, or maybe you do have it, but it's not as strong, we end up believing the enemy's lies. We end up believing the things that our body tells us, like, oh, I'm tired. You don't have to be successful. You don't have to make $1 million. You don't have to have a beautiful body. Let's just rest. And the body is all about comfort and avoiding pain and seeking pleasure. So the body is just very loud, and the scared masculine girl listens to it. The other distinction is she listens to society a lot. She's easily, basically not manipulated, but she's easily influenced by what man says is important. And by man, I mean just the human race, right? Men and women, society, marketing, Hollywood, social media, people, family, culture, community, religion, things like that. Because even religion, believe it or not, can be unhelpful sometimes, not all the time, but because obviously that's Jesus's bride, and the church is such a beautiful place, but there's some religions that aren't very healthy, right? So the scared masculine girl, because she isn't a single woman that is single, separate, unique, and whole. What she is, the difference between her is that she is attached. She compares herself. She doesn't think she's unique. And if she is unique, she doesn't like her uniqueness, and she's not whole. She's fragmented. She's not complete. So I want to describe those three different things. And then because of that, it makes her, instead of being more like a feminine woman, she's more like a man. So a masculine man is about providing, protecting, and procreating. And the confident feminine woman, she's more focused on, the confident feminine woman is focused on being a helper or like a helper and receiver, a multiplier, an influencer, loving other people, serving other people, and procreating too, but from a very beautiful, peaceful, patient way. Whereas a scared masculine girl, she ends up picking up those identities. Why? From a man? Why? Why does she decide to be a provider, protector, and a procreator? Because what she ends up learning from the world, she ends up being more subjected to earthly things instead of things of the kingdom of God. What man wants you to do is think like a man, look like a woman, and be a perfect girl, be a good girl. I'm going to say that again. I believe that man and human race society teaches most of us women to teaches us to think like a man, look like a woman, and be a good girl. And these three are so different and so confusing that collectively the scared masculine girl ends up feeling really like torn between all these different things, and we end up doing a lot of things and it ends up overwhelming us. Okay, the scared masculine girl. Why is that? So let's talk about thinking like a man, looking like a woman, being a good girl. If you notice, they're like three different things, right? And let's talk about think like a man. So to think like a man is we've been taught by feminism and society and all these things that, hustle, be a girl boss, make a lot of money, have a career, do all these things. And when you do that, you end up being that provider role. You end up being like a man and working like a man. That's not to say that women can't work. A confident feminine woman can have a career, but she does it in a very feminine way that isn't driven the way society teaches women to do it. She balances it and it's really harmonious and never affects her family for the confident feminine woman. But the scared masculine girl finds her identity in her success, in providing, in creating income. Why? Because for her, this is her way of being safe and doing so that she believes her worthiness is in it. It's unfortunate that so many women think that if they're successful or if they make a lot of money or if they are have degrees and go to school and all these things, this is what makes them worthy. That isn't. We know in God's world, in God's kingdom, you don't have to do anything in order to be worthy. You just believe in him and that makes you worthy, right? And he died for you and that's enough. And because of that, his mercy, his love, his grace made you, it's done. But the scared masculine girl doesn't believe that. She thinks that she has to do in order to be loved or be worthy or be enough or be deemed as valuable. So the think like a man is very much this provider identity. And she finds her value in making money and being successful and just doing a lot and doing things with hard work. Why is this harmful for why is this harmful for a woman? It's harmful in the sense that it can be prioritized over family. It can be prioritized over resting. It can be prioritized over receiving. Because the confident feminine woman is somebody who receives love and receives help, and she receives support. The scared masculine girl doesn't think that she needs help. She's like, I got it. I'm going to do it all on my own. But it's all rooted in fear. The scared masculine girl does everything out of fear, out of date, and out of context. I'll explain a little bit more what that means. So the think like a man, I want you to look at it like she's a provider and she's a protector. Let's talk about the protector part. She is all about self-protection. She doesn't trust people. There's a lot of doubt. And this isn't conscious, you guys. All these things, like, I don't think any woman walks around saying, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to think like a man. I'm going to look like a woman and I'm going to be a good girl. This has been programmed into your subconscious to be this way. So I want you to just think about the norms that you've been taught for your entire life. Think of all the stories in Hollywood, on TV, the books and everything, all the things that you've been taught. It's very much aligned with think like a man, be beautiful and perfect like a woman, and be a good girl. Okay. So just listen for it and just notice and see if any of this feels true for you or if it applies. Okay. So this protection, the protecting part isn't like, oh, a man wants to protect his children. What it is it's this self-protection, this hypervigilance around people thinking that maybe somebody's going to hurt me. I can't trust anybody. I'll get close, but just like keep them at arm's length because I don't want to get hurt. And it creates this like hyper independence with that think like a man part of you. Yeah. And so when you don't trust people and you're protecting yourself, you're by definition not connecting to people because you're automatically thinking that if that they can hurt you, then they're unsafe and they're viewed as a threat. So subconsciously you do things to like not get close enough. And a lot of this is this ability or this desire to like look a certain way, look perfect, perfectionism, things like that. And that's the next one that I'm going to talk about. So the self-protection, what it looks like is just not getting close to people, not being vulnerable, not showing all the different sides to them because they feel that they don't want to get hurt. And you don't share and connect with people. What you end up just doing is being very surface level, showing all of your successes and your degrees and things like that, and your income and your home and your beauty and things like that, and think that that's going to get you what you need. This is what's going to get you love, and what's going to get you income, all the things, right? So that's the first part, thinking like a man. So let's talk about the look like a woman. Well, that one I think is really, really easy, right? Women, I mean, we are sadly objectified a lot in this world, and women are taught to be skinny and beautiful and be youthful, look really great, big boobs, big butt, dress really nice, have all the bags, have all the, the clothes and the shoes and the beauty products and the consumption and all this stuff. So when we listen to society and we listen to society say that you need to be beautiful, you need to stay looking young, it becomes another form of like an idol, right? That you are really focused on looking a certain way so that you can appear to be not perfect, but just be viewed as worthy based on your looks. I can relate to this. I felt this way a lot growing up. Once I realized that people thought I was pretty or skinny or whatever, I was like, oh, I got to use this because people like this about me. And then when we figure out that something works, we end up using it, right? And unfortunately, a lot of my life, I was really caught up in like looking pretty and looking skinny and dressing up and always wearing heels and dresses. Oh my God, it was so much work. This can get very obsessive when we're always at the gym, we're always on diets, we always got to have the latest bags and shoes and beauty products, and we get marketed to a lot, right? Because women are the biggest consumers in America, in the world. We buy because we're always being sold that you need this beauty product, you need this surgery, you need this item, you need this clothes, these bags in order to be beautiful. And it's just a nonstop hamster wheel, right? It's so much work. So this need to look like a woman, to be youthful, to be perfect, to be skinny, to be beautiful, it's so much work and it's a lot of pressure on us. And we start using our beauty and our body to get men, to get love, to get attention, to connect with people. And again, this ends up hurting you because you are more focused on using your body and your looks as a woman to get what you want. Again, it's this very doing, right? I got to do in order to get. The difference between, I want to interject by saying this, the difference between men and women is men, when you think about men, the masculine energy is all about action. It's about results. It's about solving problems. It's about doing something to get a result. That's what a masculine energy is. It's action, action, action in order to perform and produce results. It's about producing, okay, solving, analyzing, just doing energy. So whereas the feminine is about being, it's about expressing, it's about feeling, it's about receiving, it's allowing, it's going with the flow. It's not about producing. The masculine version, because everyone has masculine and feminine energies, but the woman's is more about serving instead of doing and producing. It's a very different form and energy. It feels very different. So the performing, the producing, the think like a man, act like a woman. Remember, it's all, if I do this, I'm going to get that. If I produce and perform, if I'm beautiful, if I'm skinny, if I have the latest things, then I'll be loved. And it's all rooted in fear. It's not confidently like, this is just what I look like, I'm going to dress this way. That's how a confident feminine woman is. She shows up and she's like, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. it's not attached. There's no attachment there. It's, I'm here, I'm going to be your friend, or you're going to be my friend. If I like you, we'll connect. But the scared masculine girl is more about attachment. And attachment is completely different than connection. Connection is rooted in love, and it's about coming and going as we please, and people can separate and connect, and it feels very trusting. Whereas attachment, it's fear-based, and it's more like, it's dependency. It's either like, I need you in order to be something. So it's like this result. If I do this, then I get it, right? So it's so different. The energy is so different. So next, let's talk about be a good girl, right? We talked about think like a man, providing and protecting, look like a woman. So performing, producing, using your beauty, using your body to get the things that you need. And then the think like a girl or be a good girl, that one is, if you think of being a good girl, what is a good girl? A good girl doesn't speak out of turn. She's polite. She doesn't disrespect anybody. She doesn't do bad things. She only does good things. She's not messy. She's perfect. She's seen, not heard, maybe. And when you're told that, you don't get people angry, you're polite, you're proper, you're perfect, you're seen, not heard. What this does to women is you can have desires to like be bigger, to have a business or something like that. But when you're a good girl, we tend to always focus on just following the rules and just not causing a stir and not getting people upset. We don't want people upset with us. We just want everybody to get along. But it's very manipulative in that you do it because you do things because you don't want people upset at you. You know, it's like that people pleasing kind of nature. Being a good girl means other people's needs are more important than yours. And that's what the scared masculine girl does. She probably has desires, but she doesn't do them because she's worried that if she does it, people are going to get upset. I can relate to this so much. This comes up for me all the time, especially in my business, especially because like as a content creator, as a coach, when I share things, I'm always nervous. I'm like, oh my God, people are going to get mad. And then I have to check myself and say, no. We don't do things out of fear. If some people aren't going to like it and some people are going to like it, we're here to just share our truth, share our opinion, because I know this is going to serve people. And if some people don't like it, it's okay. And whereas the scared masculine girl, she literally won't do something because it's not perfect, because she's worried it's going to hurt somebody, or she's worried that she's going to look bad or make a mistake or look dumb or be viewed as a failure or things like that. The think like a girl or be a good girl version of the scared masculine girl, what she does is there's a lot of perfectionism. She doesn't want to do things messy. She won't start things because she's scared of failing. She's scared of being rejected. She's scared of upsetting people. She's scared of people leaving her. And so she has desires, but she doesn't do it because she's like, I got to stay quiet and not mess things up. Right? We don't want to upset anybody. And so what this part of a scared masculine girl does is like, she probably has bigger, better dreams, and she doesn't do them because she doesn't want to cause a stir. So you can see that everything that the scared masculine girl does is so much out of fear and worried about what other people are going to think instead of worried about herself. And she's worried, and it's almost really selfish too, because she does things in an attempt to get what she needs. I'm going to be beautiful so I can get a man. I'm going to sleep with a guy so that he chooses me. I'm going to make a lot of money so that a guy will marry me, things like that. The other part of the scared masculine girl is the three, you know how a man is a provider, a protector, and a procreator. The negative form of the scared masculine girl and the procreation part is she is very focused on men. I shared this in last week's episode. If you didn't hear it, I definitely recommend it. I shared how I was so focused on getting a man. What I believe happens there, guys, is that we have a God-sized hole in our heart. Like, we are meant to connect to God. And when God fills us with his love, we feel so good. A man comes later, and it comes very naturally. We're not obsessed with men. But I believe that if we don't have God's love, men become our utter focus. And then society just really teaches us that you should fall in love and have a fairy tale and get married, and you're only worthy and you're only a good woman if somebody marries you, if you're engaged, if you have a boyfriend, there's this really bad stereotype or this like belief around women being, what's it called? Spinsters, right? Like you're like an old woman who's alone. A lot of society puts pressure, I think, on women to get married, to have kids, to be engaged, to have a boyfriend, and you're deemed as bad if you're single. It's not true. So we start feeling bad about ourselves if we don't have a man. And so we think, well, when I have a man, then I'll feel good and then I'll feel better. And it becomes this obsession that drives so many of our behaviors. Last week, in last week's episode, I shared how wanting a man and wanting to be married and wanting to be loved and being chosen really made me spend all my money on like looking good and looking pretty and trying to get a guy to want me. I thought that if I invested in my business so that my business grew and I was successful, then a man would want me. If I got a degree, then a man would want me. If I was pretty and skinny and had nice clothes, then a man would want me. And this is the part of the scared masculine girl that I think most of my clients identify with. They come to work with me because they say, I am annoyingly focused on a man. And when I get a guy, I literally let my life go because I'm so focused on trying to get love and trying to be with a man that I put myself on the back burner and I forget about myself. I completely abandon myself. And this is the part that if we're not careful, we will not maximize your potential in your life the way you're supposed to because we're so focused on a man. When you have God's love and you are founded, that foundation is really set with him and you are completely full with his love first, a man does not become your number one thing. A man is just a wonderful thing that happens as a result of being in God's presence. And I believe that women who didn't have the love that they needed growing up, or if they got their heart broken, or they got abandoned by dad, something with their parents, and if we just didn't grow up in the church or in the Word of God, being told to be connected to God, we start looking for man instead of that man, our King, right? Our Heavenly Father. And what I want to offer is that is when you do that first, a man just comes as a result. I promise you, it comes as a result because you feel so secure and so good and just in God's love. That happens naturally. But we start thinking that it's outside. We think, oh my God, we need to get a man. And when we're married and when we have kids, and then I'll feel good. I have so many clients that once they get a husband, they're like, I thought I was going to change. I thought it was going to be different. I thought I would feel better. And I still don't feel good. Why? Because you're trying to fill a God-sized hole with a man, an earthly man, and that's not what it's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be God first. Right? And so procreation and this obsession with men and being chosen completely overrides a lot of women. And I believe it's society and then the enemy, right? I believe the enemy deceives us into thinking that you're not worthy unless you're chosen. But guess who needs to choose us? Guess who's the number one person that we should be chosen by? And it's God. God already chose you. You just need to choose him back and receive his love. And I believe that the scared masculine girl, the way that all this gets undone is number one, first, is to receive God's love and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. When you say, God, you had a son, he came, he died for me, he is my Lord and Savior. His death made all my sins forgiven. I am now part of your kingdom. When you do that, so you heal so many parts of you, and that finding your identity with God heals so much, my friends. Like I'm going to shout this till the day I die. Like once I found this and I mean, you guys, I was doing therapy. I was reading the books. I was doing all the modalities, psychics. Like I think of all the earthly yucky crap that I did. I was reading, romance novels and magazines and books and podcasts and everything, trying to find the solution outside when it was always inside with the Holy Spirit and being connected to God. And once I found and felt God's love from oh my God, my life completely changed. Like men are just like, great, I know I'm going to have a husband. I know God knows the desires of my heart. He knows that I want a husband. He knows how much I desire love like that. But for whatever reason, it's not happened yet. And that's okay, because God's timing is perfect. And I believe that once you do that, that's the first step, is really just making God your Lord and Savior. Understanding that Jesus died for your sins. He is number one in your life. And then step two is undoing these masculine patterns, undoing the unhealthy masculine patterns that you learned, that defensiveness, that providing, the perfectionism, the protecting yourself against people, the doing, thinking like a man, looking like a woman, and being a good girl. All those habits, when you stop doing them and then learn, the next step would be to learn what a feminine woman is, how she acts, how she thinks, how she feels. When you do that, then you become even more exactly like what the Bible says about how, like the Proverbs 31 woman, right? And once you are in your feminine energy and you're about expressing and being and receiving and allowing and being patient and just letting people be, and not putting your priority and your worth in being in a relationship and being married and a guy choosing you, that stuff comes naturally. It literally will be a byproduct of being connected to God first and loving yourself, and then being in your purpose and doing everything with your hobbies and your interests and having such a full life. Then a man comes, then a man's attracted to you. But we have it all backwards, because society wants you to think and believe that you got to be beautiful, you got to stay looking young, you got to have the latest clothes and bags and shoes and Amazon products and all the influencer things that people are pushing on you on social media. You got to have the house and the car and the vacation and the degrees and the 401k and all these earthly things that do not matter. They never make you feel like enough. How many of you have gotten all those things and you're like, where is it? How come it didn't happen? I know I did. I literally went to school. I went to college. I studied business. I got married. I had the kids. I had the career. I made hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I was skinny. I got all the things that I did. And I was like, how come I don't feel good yet? How come I don't feel worthy yet? It's because that isn't what is important. The earthly external things do not matter. It's what your spirit needs. Your spirit needs love, and God is love, and that's the most important thing. And men come as a result, but I want you to see, you guys have all seen this confident woman. You guys know who she is. She walks in a room and she just is confident. She's almost like relaxed. She's patient. She's happy. She's smiling. She just has this beautiful charisma and exudes just peace. And she looks good with makeup on, makeup off, and regardless of the clothes. She doesn't feel like it's necessary to have all these things. And if she has it, she doesn't boast about it. She's just like, this is who I am. I'm fine. She lets people be who they are. She's not controlling. She's really patient with God's timing. And I know I've met so many of these women, and I've thought, how do I get like that? How do you just let your boyfriend just say whatever? How come you don't get offended? How do you let your kids, how are you so patient with your children? I would always be floored when I would meet women like this. And one of the things that I noticed about a lot of the women that I admired that were like this, they were God-fearing, God-loving women. And I thought, I love God. I fear God. I think I'm like this, but in reality, I wasn't. I was like, I love God, but I did not have a true connection or relationship the way that I should have had. And it's only when I did that my life completely changed. So I hope this episode helped you understand a little bit about the scared masculine girl, helped you understand the confident woman and feminine woman, and helped you see the differences, right? Helped you really understand why the scared masculine girl is how she is. Everything is rooted out of fear. Everything is done out of attachment, not out of connection. It's done out of fear, not out of love. She is selfish in the sense that she does things to benefit her, whereas a confident feminine woman does things to benefit everybody. She knows that when things benefit her, they also benefit other people, but it's not from a very selfish, I deserve this, I expect this. It's just this is what I want to do. And I know if I do the things that I want to do, then other people will be okay with it too. Whereas like if you think of the scared masculine girl, that be a good girl version, she wants to do things, but she's like, oh my God, I'm scared people are going to get mad, so I can't do it. Such a different energy, right? She's not focused on getting love from a man. She focuses on getting love from God first. And when she feels really good in that foundation, she has her own life. She's focused on just her own hobbies, her own interests, her own career, the things that she loves. She doesn't do things for attention. She just does it because she loves it, and allows a man to be attracted to her because she's just being her authentic self. Whereas the scared masculine girl wants to look like everybody and fit in, and she's more worried about people's opinions about her versus her own. She's worried about being chosen instead of letting God choose her and choosing God. It's just this very fear-based, attachment-based being. And because of this, she's always in this overworking and like trying to be beautiful, trying to be perfect, trying to be successful. And it's really tiring. And one of the things that my clients always tell me is that they feel overworked, they feel overwhelmed, and they feel underloved. That's like the deepest, like ugly feeling that the scared masculine girl feels. She feels overworked, overwhelmed, and underloved. And I could relate to that. I definitely felt that way when I was living from that place. And it was so frustrating because I thought, when is it going to stop? I felt like it was like this never ending hamster wheel. So let me look at my notes because I want to make sure I did not forget anything else. Yes, I wanted to share that, the hiding and the hustling. So if you notice, there's some differences with the scared masculine girl. She can either be really like attached to people's opinions. She could be codependent, meaning she needs people to affirm her, or she could be hyper independent, which means I don't trust anybody. I'm just going to do things on my own. And I don't need anybody. Those are such different versions of the scared masculine girl. I call them in my coaching programs, Bloom and Feminine Freedom, I call it either the hider or the hustler. So the hider, she doesn't want to do anything to upset anybody, so she kind of stands back and like hides. Whereas the hustler, she does a lot because she thinks that she needs to perform and do in order to receive. The hider is more like, oh, I shouldn't get in the way. She's more like that be a good girl version. This is like the people pleaser. People would call it, what's that? I'm trying to think of that term. Highly sensitive people, the HSPs, those are like what a hider is. Okay. And she's more, a scared masculine girl is either hyper independent or codependent. She is about attachment. Okay. So she's, and she's very fragmented. So her actions don't match her thoughts. Her goals don't match her actions, right? She doesn't do the things that she has goals for. So if the confident feminine woman is unique, separate, and whole, the scared masculine girl is kind of like a carbon copy. She's not unique. She tries to look like everybody else. She's not separate. She's attached, and she's not whole. She's fragmented. So that's very, very different than the confident feminine woman, right? Unique. So she's her own person. She's separate from other people. So she's not like, she doesn't need to be connected to them. She's independent, but like in a healthy way because she's dependent on God, and she's whole. So her actions match her words match her vision, her goals, and it's just very aligned. The scared masculine girl, complete opposite. She's attached to people, but attached in a way that she needs their affirmation, validation, and validation, affirmation. I forget the other one. And again, but her worth is attached to people's beliefs about her. She's not unique. She doesn't be like everybody else. She bemoans her uniqueness. She doesn't like all the like weaknesses about her. She looks at her weaknesses as just like vulnerabilities and they're bad. Whereas a confident woman loves herself in spite of her weaknesses, and she just focuses on her strengths. And the last one is that she's fragmented. So she's not whole. Her actions don't match her feelings. Her vision doesn't match her behavior. So let me give you an example. If she desires to be a size 5 or 6, what number, how are sizes like odds or even? I don't know. Every store is different, right? So let's say she wants to weigh like 130 pounds, but that's her goal for herself. But her behavior is very different. She eats like crap. She doesn't take supplements. She doesn't take care of her body. She doesn't work out. She doesn't exercise. She doesn't move her body. She's sedentary. She watches Netflix all day. She doesn't move, and she drinks alcohol and smokes weed and eats and is an emotional eater, right? Her behavior doesn't match her goals. She has goals. She procrastinates on them. She doesn't take action. If she loves somebody, she feels like she desires somebody, but instead of loving them, she treats them like she doesn't love them. Think of a mom who like has children that she loves them, but she's very impatient and angry and abusive even. So she tells herself, I love my kids. I think I want to be a good mom, but her actions don't match it. When she's sad about something and she knows that she should express it to somebody, instead, nope, I'm fine. And she denies and doesn't say how she's feeling. She suppresses her emotions and suppresses her thoughts and doesn't share what she needs to share. Whereas a confident woman, she'll say what she needs. She'll say how she feels. She'll say what she likes. She'll say what she doesn't like. Her actions match her thinking. Her thoughts match her behavior. Her behavior matches her goals. She does what she says what she does, feels even her feelings. If she's sad, she will show sadness and she expresses her emotion. Whereas the scared masculine girl doesn't do that. She'll be sad and she'll be like, I'm fine. No, everything's fine. And she doesn't share it because she doesn't want to upset anybody. Or she's angry, but she does it passively aggressively and like does things sarcastically or does it in a very passive aggressive way. So again, it's confusing to like a man, right? It's like, babe, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Nope, everything's fine. Like, and she denies her feelings. So these are the differences, and you can see they don't match up. This scared masculine girl, fear; confident feminine woman, love. She's independent. She's codependent or hyper independent. The confident feminine woman is dependent. She's willing to be dependent on God. And then in her relationships, she's interdependent in her relationships. This is healthy. You want to be able to depend on people, but then they depend on you, but in a very like beautiful, harmonious, balanced way. Whereas in the scared masculine girl, she's either hyper independent, acts like she doesn't need them, or she's super codependent. And she's more transactional with her relationships. Give me this and I'll give you that. If you stop giving me this, I'm going to stop giving you that. It's very transactional. The confident feminine woman she has transformational relationships. Every person she comes in contact with changes because of her. She influences them with her love. She shows up in a really beautiful way. Everything that she touches, she makes it better. She transforms people because she's filled with God's love. And then as a result, she loves them. And then people are changed because she's a leader and she inspires them, right? So different than the scared masculine girl. So how do we undo this? One, being aware that we are the scared masculine girl. You may not have all the traits. You may just have a couple of them and you're like, ooh, Anabell, I'm really attached to wanting a man. I can't be alone. I'm really dependent on people. I get very codependent. Or yeah, I'm really hyper independent. I lead with my success. I lead with all of my degrees and all this. I work a lot. I'm insecure. I control people. I don't let them be themselves. I micromanage. I'm just all these things, right? Maybe some of them you can relate to. So one is just understanding, yeah, I have those traits. So the first thing we have to do is we have to undo them. So it's recognizing that they're not giving you the result you want. They're actually creating relationships that are more transactional instead of transformational. You probably have goals and you're not creating the goals in the life that you want, and you're feeling really stuck in your life and like you're not taking the action that you want. And so we got to stop those behaviors. So you got to undo them. So literally, let's stop doing all those things, that list of all those things that we just talked about. But then how do we stop it? And then what is the behavior that you're supposed to do? Where you're supposed to be how a confident feminine woman is. And a confident feminine woman is patient. She's allowing. She isn't controlling. She lets people be. She's accepting. She says what she feels. She's vulnerable. She expresses her thoughts. She does what she wants. She's not attached to men. She lives her own life. She has hobbies and interests and focuses and goals. And her worth isn't dependent on a relationship. When things, if a man wants her, that's great. If they don't, she's not really bothered by it. She vets people out. She'll vet a man out before choosing them. She takes her time. She's not rushed. It's so different, right? So that's how we want to be. And there's very specific ways of learning this, because this is what I teach my women in my new coaching program. Did I say new coaching program? New coach. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, what did I say? My new coaching program, Feminine Freedom. I teach women how to, one, identify their unhealthy masculine patterns, stop doing them, and then learn all the habits and patterns and behaviors and ways of thinking that a feminine woman does. And if you're interested in doing this and experiencing a life where you're confident and unattached, you want to connect to people, you express yourself well, you communicate well, you have your own life, you're not dependent on a man, you're more focused on getting that foundational love and source from God, you want to be patient and not micromanage and things like that, I really invite you to join this program. Right now, Feminine Freedom is open for pre-enrollment. The program is going to launch January 3rd, and it's going to be available for everybody. And right now, it's at a low pre-enrollment price right now, so that you can secure your spot. And it's a group coaching program. It's 6 months long. You can click below so you can learn all the information. I help women undo the unhealthy masculine patterns and master their feminine energy. I want to talk about mastery real quick, because it's important to understand what that means. Mastery means, to master something means you have unconscious competence around it. So what that means is it's a habit, and you could do it in your sleep. You don't even have to think about being a feminine woman. You just are a feminine woman. The only way that you can master something is by repetition, consistency, and by doing it over and over and over and over, so much that your subconscious mind, your soul, gets programmed to be that way. And the only way that it can get programmed to be that way is being in community around people and seeing women that are doing the same thing, and learning these patterns and staying accountable to always doing these new patterns and letting go of the old ones. There's something so powerful about being in community and being in a coaching program where you're surrounded by other women that are actually doing this work, so that you can see people thriving and changing and getting all the benefits, but then also staying accountable to it and being consistent, because only the things that you're consistently doing over and over and over does that program your soul, and your soul programs your behavior. It programs your thoughts, your emotions, and the way that you do things. And once your soul, your subconscious mind, it has mastered feminine energy, how to be a feminine woman, will you do it unconsciously? And what that means is none of your masculine stuff is there anymore. And that's not driving the car anymore. For many of you, you want to be feminine. You've told yourself, I'm going to be feminine. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to not be insecure. I'm going to lose the weight, but you don't do it because you haven't mastered it. You haven't mastered it is because you still have all these old patterns in your subconscious mind. And that's what drives your car. That's what ends up consciously taking over, and that's what you have mastery over, is being more in your masculine. And in this program, I help you undo them and master feminine energy, so you have that unconscious competence, meaning you don't have to think about it. Think about how you drive a car. When you first learned how to drive a car, you had to put the key in the ignition and park and press the brake and it took a long time, right, to learn how to do that subconsciously and just on autopilot. Now, when you get in a car, you back up in 2 seconds. You literally don't even think, right? That's called unconscious competence. You are competent at it and you don't even have to think about it. It's unconsciously done. You want feminine energy, your feminine design, your feminine behaviors to be consciously competent. You want to do it. You want to master it so you don't have to think about it. You don't want this masculine stuff driving the car anymore. You need to undo it, and you want to master feminine energy. And that's what we do in Feminine Freedom. So if this is something that you're interested in, click below, get the information, join now. January 3rd, the price is going to go up. And women, ladies, listen to me. If you want to stop making men your number one, buying, shopping, spending all your money focused on trying to be perfect and look beautiful and be a good girl and have all the human social dumb norms that the world teaches you to do, and you're finding that like it feels like it's never ending and things never feel like enough, this is why. It's because you're against and you're unfortunately being subscribed to the patterns of the world, the patterns of your past, so your body, and the patterns of the enemy. You're being deceived into thinking that these are the things that you need. And the scared masculine girl, that's what she's easily subjected to. But when you're living in the kingdom, the world, none of that matters. Like you're not subjected to people's fear-based control. And that's why a lot of Christians hear Christians say like, we're not of this world, we're of heaven, we're of the kingdom. It's a totally different mindset. I don't get affected by people the way that I used to, because that I'm not of the world and my body and the enemy. I'm rooted in God, in the kingdom, and in my spirit. It's very, very different. And when you are kingdom minded, when you are of God, when you are of your spirit, when you are of heaven, it's incomparable. You have so much peace and control. So if this rings true for you, if this makes so much sense and there's something calling in you to master your feminine energy so you don't have these subconscious patterns of masculine energy driving your car and making decisions in your life and sabotaging your career, your money, your health, your relationships, your parenting as a mother, this program is for you. I'm inviting you to join. If you have any questions, send me a DM on Instagram and I will answer any questions you have. Follow me at Anabell.Ingleton, or here on this podcast, there's like a place where you can, I think in the show notes on my website, you can like leave a comment. But the best way to reach me is on Instagram. I'm there all the time. I'll get messages and I look at them at night. So if you have any questions about the program, please reach out to me. But I invite you to change from that scared masculine girl to that confident feminine woman you are literally designed to be. And your life will completely change. So I hope this was helpful. I can't wait to talk with you next week, and I'll see you then. Have a good one.